Lesson 29, Battle for Life, Part 4, in our previous lessons. We learned various principles for the battle for life. These principles all revolve around how to take away the opponent's liberties. These methods guide us on how to win a battle for life by taking away liberties. In this lesson, we will learn how to extend liberties, which means increasing your own liberties to win the battle for life. Let's look at this shape. Now, we can see a battle for life has formed locally. These three white stones and this black stone surround each other, creating a battle for life. First, let's count the liberties. These three white stones have 3 liberties, while this single black stone only has 2. So, if we try to take away liberties now, black will definitely lose. We can give it a try. No matter how black takes white's liberties, black is always 1 liberty short and gets captured. Therefore, when we find that directly taking liberties leaves us short of liberties, as we mentioned, more liberties win against fewer liberties, and with equal liberties, the first to move wins. Right now, we are short of liberties. So if you start taking liberties first, you will definitely fail. At this point, we need to look for a way to gain more liberties or extend liberties. The correct move for black now is to play here, which we call a solid extension. When black plays here, this single black stone had only 2 liberties, but after extending, these 2 black stones now have 4 liberties, while the 3 white stones only have 3. So now, black is actually ahead by 1 liberty and can capture white. So this is the concept of extending liberties. Now let's set up another shape. Alright, let's look at this shape. First, we still need to find the target for the battle for life. These 2 white stones and these 2 black stones surround each other, forming a battle for life. Then, we still need to count the liberties first. These 2 white stones have 3 liberties, and these 2 black stones have 2. So, if black directly takes liberties, black will lose as fewer liberties can beat more liberties. So whenever we find ourselves short of liberties, we must try to think about extending liberties. So how should black play? Here, black seems to have 2 options. One is to play here, and the other is to play here. Which one is correct? It is actually quite simple. When we are extending liberties, we must see which move gives us the maximum effect of extending liberties. If black plays here, black will only have 3 liberties. But if black plays here, it extends to 4 liberties. So obviously, playing here is much better. After black makes a solid extension here. Black has 4 liberties, and white has 3 liberties. Black is ahead by 1 liberty and captures white. This is the more liberties win principle we learned. So, using a solid extension to extend liberties is something we should have fully mastered by now. Let's look at another problem. Okay, let's look at this problem. First, find the target for the battle for life. These 6 white stones and 4 black stones surround each other, forming a battle for life. Then let's count the liberties. Black has 2 liberties, and white seems to have 2 liberties as well. But please note, we have a concept we learned called hidden liberties. We will find that black cannot directly take liberties from either side. The liberty on the right is a shared liberty. If black takes a liberty there, it will reduce its own liberty. Right. We've said before that you shouldn't take shared liberties first. And the liberty on the left is a hidden liberty. Black cannot enter this spot because it is a tiger's mouth and it will be captured by white. So on the surface, white currently has 2 liberties, but counting the hidden and shared liberties, white actually has 3 liberties. Black's correct sequence is to connect, Atari, and capture, taking 3 liberties. So 2 against 3. Black is clearly at a disadvantage in this battle. At this point, we need to find a way. We can't take liberties. We must extend liberties. So, how should black extend liberties? We can see that the local space is already very small. If black wants to extend liberties, it can only play on the first line like this. Normally, we do not recommend playing on the first line, because playing on the first line usually doesn't extend liberties. It is a worthless move. But in this specific situation, black playing on the first line is a great move to extend the liberties. Why is that? Let's analyze it carefully. After black plays here, the position on the left is still a shared liberty. Black cannot enter and white cannot enter either. So white also has to take liberties from the outside first. It is quite obvious. After black makes a descent, this cutting point for white on the outside is actually black's hidden liberty. We've discussed the concept of hidden liberties. On the left side, black only needs to fix with 1 move, which equals 1 hidden liberty. But on the right side, for white to enter this tiger's mouth to take a liberty, it needs to fix 2 hidden liberties. So black, as we can see, has 2 liberties of its own, plus the 2 hidden liberties white needs to fix. This means black now has 4 liberties, while white still has 3 liberties. So black can capture white in this battle for life. Let's look a bit further. After black plays on the first line, white must fix the hidden liberties. White fixes with one move. Black fixes with one move. White still needs to fix. It still cannot place a stone here, because it is a tiger's mouth. So white still has to fix the hidden liberty. Black plays Atari, ahead by one liberty, and captures white. Now, please note this technique of extending liberties. It actually utilizes white's cutting point. Or rather, the fact that white needs to fix. It creates hidden liberties, thus achieving the goal of extending liberties. This method of creating hidden liberties is not easy to spot, as it is relatively concealed. Actually, as we said, hidden liberties are equivalent to external liberties. It is essentially the same as the solid extension earlier. The solid extension is very obvious, turning 2 or 3 liberties into more. A move that adds at least 2 liberties is usually called extending liberties. But with this move, Black's descent on the surface doesn't seem to change its liberties. But by creating hidden liberties, it still manages to extend by at least 2 liberties. Thus achieving the effect of extending liberties. Let's look at one last method of extending liberties. The knowledge I am covering now is all from what we've learned before. So this also serves as a review. Okay, everyone, let's look at this problem. First, find the target for the battle for life. These 6 white stones and 6 black stones form a battle for life. Now, let's count the liberties. Well, this problem is slightly more difficult. Why is that? Because when we count the liberties now, we need to solve a problem through counting, which is whether to take liberties or extend them. It requires us to make an accurate judgment. We can see that white's 3 liberties are very easy to count. But how many liberties does black have? If we mistakenly think now that black has 1, 2, 3, 4 as it appears, then it seems black can capture white no matter what. For example, if we choose the safest route, even though I think black has 4 liberties, I still go and take one of white's liberties. With 4 against 2, wouldn't I win easily? But we learned a technique in the last lesson. A liberty-taking technique called a throw-in. We can see these 2 black stones are keystones for white. And of course, these 4 stones are too, right? All 6 stones are keystones. So for my white stones, I use these 2 stones, which now only have 2 liberties, and I play a throw in here. Next move, I can Atari, and you capture. So black's Atari here is too late, right? So black can only capture. And then I continue to Atari. This is a liberty-taking method we've learned. Then we'll find that black is actually 1 liberty behind. And now black has been captured. So here, white actually has a great throw-in move to take liberties. So, for black, when we judge or look at this shape and realize white actually has a great liberty-taking move, we need to understand, should we choose to take liberties or extend them now? Obviously, the correct answer is to extend liberties. So, black's correct move here is to connect. Oh, black connects here to preemptively prevent white's throw-in. We have a term here called the opponent's key point. The opponent's key point. This term will appear often in battles for life or life and death problems. It means this move is the key point for the opponent to kill me. Conversely, the opponent's key point is also mine. So I connect here to extend the liberties. When black connects here, right, black now has a very normal 4 liberties. White has no more liberty-taking techniques, and white only has 3 liberties. So black can capture white being ahead by 1 liberty. So this problem is quite representative. When choosing between taking liberties and extending them, we must judge carefully and find the weaknesses in the shape to decide whether to take or extend liberties. Actually, there are many special techniques for extending liberties. What we covered in this lesson is relatively basic, just techniques to make the liberties longer. In the future, we will cover more complex extending techniques, such as using sente to extend liberties. Those will be in future lessons. That concludes our lesson for today.